Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be talking about whether or not you need a computer science degree in order to be a computer programmer or a software developer. Now, the cool thing about the computer science field in general is that it's a very fast moving field. Now, one of the criticisms of the field is the fact that it is very theoretical. So, in a traditional computer science degree path, you'll find yourself taking a lot of the math courses in the first and second year and getting a lot of the fundamentals just to be able to be successful in learning some of the specialized programming languages in the third and fourth year. Now, this is great to have this relevant context, and it actually might be very helpful depending on the industry you go into, particularly if you're sticking with a research and you intend to go to a master's or PhD program after that. But if you're looking to go into maybe consulting or looking to go into government where they have maybe very traditional ways of programming and they're programming in very low level languages still, this might actually be a very important point of reference for you to have. Might also be important if you're looking at going into game development, and so you might need things like linear algebra to make you even more successful in that type of field. But what we found is that there's a lot of programming languages that you can pick up on that you don't necessarily need this rigorous background in order to be successful in that field. Now, if you couple that with the fact that the computer science field in general and a lot of employers who are looking to hire people to be programmers are really finding that there's a shortage of qualified candidates who are able to proficiently code in those particular languages and have a body of work to support the fact that they're able to develop in this language. And so for that reason, what we've seen is we've seen a lot of firms really look to non-traditional candidates in order to fill these specific positions. And so a great example of this is actually firms who are hiring right out of coding boot camps, as an example, which might be an intensive program where they teach you a variety of different programming languages in a short period of time, or even firms that are hiring people who are self-taught or people out of off of forums who are helping other people in the community as well. And this is very different from a lot of the other engineering disciplines, and a lot of them are actually heavily regulated, which is awesome because of the fact that there's a lot of liability involved in some of those other fields, like chemical engineering as an example, or civil engineering as an example as well. But computer science in general doesn't necessarily have as much regulation to it, which I think is a positive in that sense. And in a lot of ways, it can actually be compared to the arts in the sense that your portfolio is really the most important part of the interview process and really the skills that you can bring to the table. And so, although a degree might be helpful for you to land an interview, particularly in some really prestigious firms or even consulting firms that just might look at a lot of the traditional aspects of the interview process that some of the startups might not necessarily look for. Um, the degree itself might not necessarily be as important once you get to the interview stage and you get to the pair programming stage where they really want to see what skills you bring to the table and what projects you've actually worked on and how you can implement that in the particular industry. The other great thing about computer science is the fact that there's such a shortage that there's an abundance of work to be done on the freelance side as well. And so if you're looking to build up a portfolio and you don't necessarily have a traditional background and you want to make yourself more competitive, then building up a portfolio on a freelance basis is definitely a way to actually start. There's also great coding boot camps, which a lot of people make use of as well. So you can learn a bunch of different programming languages in a very short period of time, which can again make you more compelling in the interview process. And in fact, a lot of these coding boot camps already have partnerships with a lot of firms who hire directly out of there as well. And so what we're seeing is that a lot of these firms are really looking to non-traditional candidates, in some cases over some of the traditional candidates who might have the academic pedigree but might not have the portfolio pedigree to support that as well. And so the fact that this field is so in demand and it is constantly evolving, it's really important to really focus on the skills that you can develop as opposed to the credentials that you can add to the end of your name. The other important thing to really consider is the fact that because it is such a fast moving field, academia is at such a disadvantage because they're having a really tough time finding people who are qualified and are proficient enough in these specific languages that are fairly new comparatively to some of the more traditional programming languages to be able to teach a lot of these courses. But not only that, it's going to be very hard to compel these people to perhaps leave their industry role where they might be making significantly more than they would make in academia in order to pursue the teaching path. And so, for this reason, self help and self-learning and pursuing a lot of the non-traditional academic routes might actually be more beneficial, might actually teach you a lot more of the practical skills, and in a lot of cases will be a much cheaper option as well. Now, for those of you who want to go into research or who want to go into a more traditional setting, maybe you want to go into government, who might be programming still in a very traditional coding languages or low-level coding languages, or if you want to go into consulting firms that might still have very traditional interview processes where they really do require the degree in order for you to actually get to the interview stage, then this might be something that is a little bit more important. And if you want to go down the teaching path, you might also want to stick along the research route as well. And in that case, the degree is going to be even more important for you to be able to eventually get into a master's program and potentially a PhD program as well. Although that's becoming a lot less compelling for a lot of people, given the fact that a lot of these private sector jobs are offering salaries to students right out of their undergraduate degree that might be comparable to what a first or second year researcher might receive after their master's or PhD program. And so this is also something for you to consider as well. So that's all for this video. The short answer is you don't necessarily need a degree to be a computer programmer or software developer. I think the most important thing for you to determine is whether or not you want to be a front-end developer or a back-end developer, or what specific languages you want to focus on and what area of the stack you'd like to work on, and how you can develop those skills in a way that's going to make you as competitive in the job market as possible. A degree is not necessarily a prerequisite for this. Is it going to hurt? Probably not. But if you're looking at getting into the field right now and you're kind of just starting on your academic journey, use your pedigree academically as a way for you to sustain your own personal development. In other words, don't let that get into the way of your own personal learning. So if you're focusing on a particular language that you'd like to specialize in that's not necessarily offered in the university setting, don't let that stand in your way of learning those languages. Use that as the relevant context that will make you more diverse in the workforce after you decide to leave your current studies. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions or concerns, I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.